Don't steal from the dead. So back in the 60 seconds, there was this farmer named Buck who lived about 2 towns over from my grandpa. And the thing about Buck was that he was absolutely obsessed with money. I'm talking like counting pennies, arguing over grocery store receipts, the whole deal. This guy would steal sugar packets from diners and reuse tea bags until they were basically just wet paper. But Buck's real obsession was his dad's safe. See, Buck's dad owned this huge farm that had been in the family for like 50 years. The old man was pretty well off, especially for those days. And he had this big metal safe right there in his living room where everyone could see it. The thing about that safe was Buck's dad never tried to hide what was in it. He'd open it up in front of people all the time, counting out these thick stacks of cash. We're talking thousands of pounds here, which back then was like having a small fortune just sitting in your house. Buck knew the combination because his dad had made him memorize it for emergencies. But here's the problem. His dad was still very much alive and would definitely notice if his money went missing. So Buck started waiting and planning and basically counting down the days until his inheritance would kick in. I heard from my uncle that Buck would sit at family dinners just staring at that safe, doing math in his head about how much money was probably in there. His dad would catch him looking and just smile this weird little smile. Buck's dad was actually pretty sharp for an old guy. He definitely knew what his son was thinking about, but he never said anything, just kept going about his business like normal. The old man started getting sicker around Christmas time. Nothing dramatic, just the usual stuff that happens when you get old. But Buck was practically rubbing his hands together, waiting for his payday. Then one morning in February, Buck's dad didn't wake up, passed away peaceful in his sleep. Now here's where it gets interesting. Buck barely waited for his dad's body to get cold before he was over at that safe, spinning the combination he'd memorized years ago. He's probably thinking about all the things he's gonna buy, all the debts he can pay off, maybe finally getting that new truck he'd been wanting. The safe clicks open and Buck reaches inside, ready to grab his fortune. But instead of stacks of cash, there's just one single pound note. One, folded up and propped against the back wall like it's posing for a picture. And attached to it is this little note in his dad's handwriting that says, "Hope you enjoyed waiting." Buck just stood there staring at this one measly pound, probably wondering if he was losing his mind. Everyone had seen thousands of pounds in that safe, multiple people, for years. Where did all that money go? Well, that became the big mystery around town. Everyone was trying to figure out what happened to the old man's fortune. My Uncle Tom, who worked on a neighboring farm, got so tired of people asking about it that he started telling folks the old man buried it all down the well behind the house. Complete lie. But Tom wanted to see if anyone was dumb enough to believe it. Sure enough, about a week later, 3 different people showed up with shovels and rope, ready to climb down that nasty old well looking for buried treasure. Tom just sat on his porch laughing, watching these grown adults lowering themselves into a muddy hole over a story he made up on the spot. Nobody ever found the real money. Buck spent the rest of his life convinced his dad had hidden it somewhere, tearing apart that farmhouse looking for secret compartments and buried boxes. The joke was on him the whole time.